What we do here is making soil and compost in order to support all the living system, all the experiments we are doing here at Metabolic Studio. We sit on a former brownfield, so the soil is depleted, the soil is poisoned, and by doing this or having microorganisms work for us, we are replenishing the soil. Those 3 large bins are part of one experiment. I'm contrast comparing 3 types of compost. All the mulch, all the plants we grew in the anabolic and when we cut off, it's all here. This one was inoculated with mycelium, and here it's very similar to the first one. The difference is that there's a aeration below the compost pile. Mule manure. It's dry, it's clean. Think of mule manure as your probiotic, the probiotic of the compost pile. It's just mostly grass digested by the mule, so it's full of microorganisms. It's very rich. Straw and other biomass. Again, this is stuff we cut from the things we grow, the plants we grow in here at the studio at the Moon. And then later on, I'll show you how I'm going to sift this mature compost, and we're going to get out of it something very fine and very ready to go in the living system. That is a vermicompost bin. So in here, there are thousands upon thousands of worms. So if I were to dig inside and scoop up, I would probably find, in each handfuls, I would find 5-10 worms. I'm not going to do that because they are very fragile. And I don't want to disturb them. They are hard at work. Here we have some mature compost, and it's made of all those things you see here. Some mule manure, some green waste, fruits and vegetables, and this wonderful mulch made of the bark, pieces of the dry plant, leaves, etc. And all of that is put here, mixed together with water, and within 6 months, without too much work, you obtain a very fine, very rich compost. Now I'm going to show you how I sift mature compost. So we're going to separate very large particles from fine particles. That's it. That comes out of it. It's a beautiful, fluffy compost, mature compost. And that is very potent, and it has thousands and thousands of microorganisms and bacteria and fungi living in there. In this nursery, we grew a lot of plants we used in different features throughout the Moon. We use most of the plants, so I'm going to go with the second batch very soon, and I'm going to focus on plants that are remediators, telegraph weeds, etc., etc. There's a long list of plants we seek to grow here because they are good for bioremediation, phytoremediation. They pull out toxins, and most of them are native plants, California native plants. We grow a lot of food here, and food is grown for seed, but also it's where we get the end of the cycle, meaning the green waste. Every time we eat something at Metabolic Studio, if it's green, if it's compostable, it will end in one of those bins, and then all of this goodness will end in the compost you just saw earlier. So Lauren always wanted to use compost as part of the resources we have here, and we get the green waste from the studio, from Metabolic Studio. We get it from Eddy Compost, and lately we are getting the green waste from all the vendors in the LA Rivers farmers market, and it's great because it's local, and it kind of closes the loop of the food waste. Whatever is consumed is recuperated, turned into compost, and used to to grow more food. So a sacrificial compost. Whatever dies on site, I put it here. If we have a meal and there's some green left, it goes here. Straw, cardboard. It's layered very slowly. There's no turning around. There's very little watering. So it acts as a garden bed and a compost bin. So here we have vermicompost. These are worm castings, and it took about 6 months, less than a year, for worms to feed on all the decaying matter. And this is one of the most potent type of compost. It's very fine, very rich. Usually I would not prepare vermicompost within the compost bin, because sometimes it gets hot a little bit. They would have a lot of competition from other critters. In a compost bin such as this one, you have so much life, and worms don't always do well with other decomposers. They may become prey to decomposers. I usually don't water it the way you would, let's say with a windrow where you put a lot of water, you mix. I like to focus only on some parts where the volunteers are growing. So it's really spot watering. So my view of, my opinion about compost has really evolved from something that was utilitarian, something you did and just in order to grow more things. And now I see compost and decay and rot as life itself. Whatever happened in the compost bin is actually the beginning of life. It's the end of life for many life forms, but it's also the beginning of life for many others they're going to benefit from the elements provided by the decaying matter.